So I'm Kim Frederick, and Dani Murray is in the studio with me, and we're really pleased to welcome our special guest today, who is Kev Ward. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, welcome. Good to see you.
And you are chairman of Newport Live.
Yep.
So for anybody who doesn't really know anything about Newport Live, tell us what it actually is.
So Newport Live is a charitable leisure trust, and we basically run all the leisure facilities that the council used to run. So we run the Newport International Sports Village, so that's Newport Stadium, the pool and tennis centre and the velodrome. We run the Active Living Centre, which is attached to Newport High School in Bettis. And we now run a big gym called Station, which is up at the top of Cambrian Road. And that replaces the gym facilities that were in the Newport Centre, which we also used to run, but obviously we've now surrendered the lease on that because it's in the process of being demolished. There will be a new leisure centre built on the land in between the university campus on Usk Way and the bingo hall, effectively, and when that's built and open, we'll run that as well. But the important thing about Newport Live, compared to other leisure providers in the city, is we are a charity. So everything that we do, everything that comes into us income-wise, gets reinvested into the charity. And what I've forgotten to say is that we also run the Riverfront Theatre.
Oh, yeah. There's quite a lot there, really, then, isn't there?
I should remember the Riverfront Theatre bit because that's where my office is.
Well, maybe that's why you don't. So, yeah, the last time we met, actually, was at the grand opening of the new station gym. How's it going over there? Is it thriving?
Yeah, very good. Sorry. Glad it's not live. Yeah, I mean, the station is much, much bigger than the gym facility we had at Newport Centre. So it's about 15,000 square feet. I mean, you saw it at the opening.
Massive,
it's a really big space. Lots of equipment in there. So, yeah, we're certainly seeing a lot of the people that use Newport Centre using it. And obviously we want to grow that membership. It'll also be one of the focuses for the active travel work that the contract we've just won from Welsh Government. So there'll be a real encouragement because it's opposite the railway station to get people to use rail and to use cycles. And we'll be working both with the Skinner Street store, which allows you to store your cycle for 24 hours a day for £1. We'll have secure cycle storage in station as well.
That's actually really useful, isn't it? It's not something that I'd ever thought about before, but yeah, to be able to store your cycle if you're getting on the train, that's
as I say, there's an existing shop in Skinner Street that's called Spoke Safe, and you can have your bike in there for 24 hours for £1, which
I didn't know about
is a really big encouragement, I think, to come into the city centre using your bike.
I wonder how many people do know. I mean, I don't actually live in Newport myself, so there's no reason I should know that, I suppose. But it is good to know, isn't it? And I wonder how many people are aware of that.
Yeah, I think Spoke Safe has only been open for about 6 months, something like that.
Yeah, not long.
So it's a bit of a slow burner.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think having that facility, because let's be fair, any town or city centre, you probably don't want to come in and take a chance of chaining your bike up to a railing because you'll probably come back to find not much of it left. That's not a slight on Newport city centre because that's pretty much the same everywhere.
Of course it is.
But we were the first city in Wales to have a secure bike storage facility. Cardiff opened theirs a couple of weeks after ours, but we were first.
Yeah. Well, that's worth actually mentioning again if anybody didn't quite catch it. So if you want to store your bike in the city centre, it's in Skinner Street.
That's right.
And it's called
Spoke Safe.
Spoke Safe. There you go, guys. That's a useful bit of information.
You can't miss it. There's loads of bikes inside it.
Oh, that sounds good. Okay, so what sort of things can we expect to see from Newport Live through the summer, for instance? What are you involved in at the moment for this year?
Well, we're always involved with a lot of stuff in terms of community-based activity. So I think a lot of people only see Newport Live from the buildings, the boxes, if you like. So, they'll see what we do at the riverfront or they'll see what we do at the velodrome or whatever. But we also do an enormous amount of work out in the community. So one of the things that I'm proudest of as chairman is Positive Futures, which we've been running pretty much since Newport Live came into existence in 2015. It was previously a local authority project. That's funded by the Police and Crime Commissioner, but it's aimed at using sport and leisure and that kind of thing to take kids who are probably on the verge of being in the criminal justice system and getting them refocused on those kind of things. And it's such a positive thing to do. And then through the summer, you'll see that we'll be doing various sports and leisure camps around the place. We do Fit and Fed, which is where kids come in and they can do lots of activities during the day, but they also get a couple of meals as well. And for some of the kids that are doing that might be, their best chance of getting those meals while they're not in school. Yeah. You'll see Newport Live involved in huge numbers of things.
So those projects that you've just mentioned then, how would people find their way into those? If there are kids out there that need what you're offering, how would they find you, or how would their parents find you?
So things like Positive Futures are referrals, really. So that children will be referred to them via the youth justice system. But other things like Fit and Fed and the various play schemes that we do during the summer, just look on the Newport Live website, newportlive.co.uk, and all of those things will be on there, as well as all the other activities and events and shows and programmes that we produce.
So there's a lot going on, isn't there? Yeah. Wow. So how many people actually work in this organisation then? Because I would imagine there's an awful lot of people having to, have a job within this to keep it going, because there's such a lot of it.
So we've got a staff in excess of 300. That's not always full-time staff, so there's a lot of casual staff, particularly, lifeguards in the pools or whatever. They don't tend to be full-time. And we try and encourage, youngsters to come in. So, let me give you an example with Positive Futures, as well as, trying to help youngsters keep on the straight and narrow, as it were. A lot of the coaches on Positive Futures are young people. As an example, my eldest son, who's 30 this year, but I'm trying not to think about that. When he was 15, 16, he volunteered as a coach with Positive Futures, and he got a lot of confidence in himself out of that, but also it was the real kick that he needed to say, teaching is what I want to do. And he is now a primary school teacher. So a lot of our staff come through that route, where they're casual staff or they're people who just come in to help on a summer play scheme, and then they become full-time staff. There's a lot of people. Obviously, sadly, we've had to lose a few people with Newport Centre closing, but we've managed to redeploy the vast majority of those. And when the new leisure centre comes on stream, which won't be for a few years yet, hopefully we'll then bring some more people in as well.
Good, because volunteering is a great way of discovering what you want to do with your life when you're a young person, isn't it? If you find the right kind of volunteering and it sort of keeps you focused on something that's positive rather than giving you the time and opportunity to wander into things that are not going to be so good for your future.
Definitely. Newport City Radio is a great example of that.
Definitely, yes.
I do a fair amount of volunteering as well. My role as chairman of Newport Live is a voluntary role. I'm fortunate that I've got to that stage in my life where I've got a bit of time where I can, volunteer for things. And, it is a very rewarding thing to do. But you're right, as a young person, it can help you sort of, make some decisions as to, what career path you want to follow.
Yeah, definitely. So where do you see, what sort of things would you like Newport Live to be sort of, what routes do you see Newport Live going down in the future? What sort of aspirations, dreams do you have for Newport Live?
So our sort of motto is that we're here to make people happier and healthier. And I think that's what, that's definitely what we want to do as an organisation. We want everybody we come into contact with, coming away from that contact with us feeling happier or being healthier. I think that you'll certainly see Newport Live, as we already do, bidding for grants and contracts to provide the sort of facilities that other leisure providers can't do. Nothing against the likes of Pure Gym or whatever, but they are commercial operations. We're not. We're a charity. So, we do things like the GP referrals. So if a GP decides that rather than prescribe somebody medicine, he wants to refer them for fitness or whatever, we deal with that at the moment. During the pandemic, Newport Centre became a mass vaccination centre, and we obviously helped running that because we were the leaseholders on the building. And we run, for instance, a fantastic scheme out at Tredegar Park called Wheels for All, which is we've got a whole range of different cycles there, some weird and wonderful contraptions, but they allow children and adults, but primarily children of all abilities, people with quite severe disabilities, to actually ride a bike and experience that and be out in the fresh air doing it. And, all of those things are part of, in my view, what makes Newport Live very different and very special as an organisation.
I think that's really nice, actually, because fresh air is so important, being out and about in nature. I really like that, and I wasn't aware of that at all. So, and I bet there's lots of people who are listening, lots of people out there who have no idea of all these things that are going on. So, I would urge everybody to take a look at your website and just see what is available, because it sounds like there's just loads to choose from. Really, something for everyone. Yeah,
there is. There really is, and I've talked a lot. Excuse me. I've talked a lot about sport and leisure there, but obviously the Riverfront Theatre is a very central part of what we do. And again, you'll see at the Riverfront the sort of very commercial shows, because at the end of the day we need to make money.
Yeah.
But those very commercial shows then help us to put on things that maybe fewer people go to, but they give young artists and young performers, young writers the chance to actually experience things in a theatre. Funnily enough, our studio theatre now is pretty much used full time as a cinema, so we are the only city centre cinema at the moment, because City World has yet to reopen. That proves very popular, and it's also the venue for lots of community groups as well. So on a Tuesday, we have a thing there called the Cuppa Club, which was set up by the Rotary Club, and it was initially set up to combat loneliness amongst older people. So it was very much about, come in, have a cuppa, have a chat with people. And if you go into the Riverfront now at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, you will see 70, 80 people there taking part in that. And they have raffles and days out and all sorts now.
That's really nice, isn't it?
And the theatre space is as much about that as it is, the Panto, for instance.
But it's a fabulous theatre as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen a few shows there, and I organised or co-organised a TEDx event there back in 2019, and it was just so ideal for something like that. But yes, it's great for shows. There's all sorts of things going on in there, and I know we've had business meetings in the cafe area there. It's really nice, and sitting out on the decking there by the river is lovely on a nice day, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's another one of kind of Newport's almost hidden jewels.
Yeah.
Because, as well as there being the main theatre, you've also got a studio theatre there, you've got an art gallery, you've got a basement theatre, there's a dance studio, there's a recording studio, there are meeting rooms, there's the cafe area that you've spoken about that we've refurbished while we were closed during COVID, because the theatre was closed for 18 months. So, what do you do during that time? Just let it kind of rot or do something about it. So we actually invested quite a bit of money in it, but I'm slightly biased because I'm based there every day, but it is a really great place to work as well.
The little art gallery is nice as well, because it's not daunting. If you're not somebody who knows much about art or is really into it, but you just want to have a little peek, they have some lovely exhibitions in there by artists, and it is just the one small room, isn't it?
Yeah.
But some beautiful art, and you don't have to be really, really
No, not at all.
into art to appreciate and just have a quick look round. I find that really nice in there, yeah. Yeah, that's good. So what's going on? Are you involved in very much for the summer holidays for the school children? Are there events going on for them?
Yeah, there's the lots of activities that I've mentioned, summer camps and that kind of thing. For us, the biggest event of the summer is the Big Splash Festival.
Of course.
That takes place in the middle of July over a Saturday and Sunday, and that's a street theatre festival, effectively. I mean, it's been going for many years, and I'm sure lots of people in Newport will know about it. But, you know, those are activities at and around the riverfront and in Friars Walk and on Commercial Street and High Street. So it really just bring street theatre and art, you know, into a living, breathing
because
city
for
centre.
some people, things like that will be their first experience, I guess, of theatre and different creative arts, wouldn't they? So it's quite a gentle introduction, isn't it, to the arts?
Absolutely, and we get some fantastic acts there over that weekend. You know, some really funny street theatre acts and some really interesting things. And also we do lots of stuff with children on the day in the Riverfront Theatre, so kids can just come in and be creative. You know, and cost them anything, just come in and, you know, they can make collages or sing songs or do dances or whatever they want to do.
It's all good stuff. I love seeing children just get involved with anything creative. There's just not enough of it in our lives, really, is there? Well, there probably is now. We're getting more back into it than we seem to be away from the creative things for quite a long time, but I think it's being promoted quite widely now, and we're again being reminded of the benefits, aren't we, of just creating and doing
absolutely.
fun things.
And I think that whole, you know, what some people call culture is really important because you know, we saw during the pandemic that, you know, God forbid we ever go through anything like that again, but the fact that people who were artists and performers and musicians suddenly couldn't do what they needed to do. And that had a serious effect on people, not just financially, but for their mental health as well. I think if you're a creative soul, not being able to create or share that with an audience, you know, must be really heartbreaking. Yeah,
and the other thing is, some people have a creative soul, but actually haven't discovered it yet. And you know, when you pop along to things like you've been talking about, it maybe inspires people to think, oh, I might have a little go at that. And until you try something that's creative, you don't realise how relaxing it is. How good it makes you feel, and when you create a piece of art or you do something that's entertaining, to see the joy that can bring to somebody else is so good for you and them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spent almost all of my career as a journalist and a writer, and I'm at my happiest when I'm writing something. And so I can, you know, fully understand, you know, what that's about, and that must be the same whether you're, you know, a broadcaster or a musician or an actor or whatever. But I think we all have to find, you know, what bit of us is creative. Exactly. I always remember at school having a music teacher who said that there was a singer in every one of us. And then we did a class audition for Joseph in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, at which point the teacher said, "Kevin, can you just be quiet for a second?" Yeah, she said, "Can I just say what I said earlier? Everybody's got a singer in them. Actually, what I meant was most people have got a singer in them."
Oh, Kev. So, do you like a bit of karaoke now, or did that put you off singing forever?
I have done karaoke once in my life.
Only once? Oh, we need to get you back on it again. So, what did you sing? Do you remember?
I sang "Let Me Entertain You" by Robbie Williams. I hasten to add, I had a couple of drinks.
That is a big song.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. So did it go down well?
Well, the bit that didn't go down well is where I tried to do a Robbie Williams kick the microphone stand in the air and only discovered that it was actually fixed to the stage. Okay. So that was quite painful.
Oh dear, excellent. Do you know what? We've learnt so much about Newport Live today, haven't we? And I think everybody should go and have a little look at the website. So it's newportlive.co.uk.
That's right. Or just come along to one of our venues. You know, most of them are open almost all the time.
Yeah, great. So yeah, do that. Dani's got a question.
Just before we go, I've got a question. I wanted to ask, looking to the future, do you have any projects in the pipeline that you would be proud to share with us today? If you don't want to discuss anything, that's fine. But if you have any projects that would be beneficial to help, as you say, the charities that you're working with, younger people going forward in the future, and again, everything's on the website.
Yeah, I think that, I would say definitely look out for a lot of the summer camps that we'll do during the school holidays. Active travel, that project is going to be a very big one for us, although we haven't fully announced what we're going to do with that. So, that's very much a watch this space. And, I would definitely encourage everybody to buy a ticket for our panto, which is...
I was just going to ask you about that.
Tickets are on sale for that already. It's Beauty and the Beast this year. I went to last year's, which was Robin Hood, and it was, fantastic. As good as anything you'll see in the West End.
I love it so much.
I was going to say, oh, no, you don't, but that would...
Yeah. So I've got one last question for you then, Kevin. Have you ever been in a pantomime?
No, I haven't.
But if you were, what character do you think you would play?
I'd quite like to be Widow Twanky, I think.
Would you?
Yeah,
do you think you'd be good at that?
They always get the best laughs and the best lines.
I love a dame in panto, don't you? Yeah, good. Okay, well, we've got loads loads of information, and I hope everybody's going to go and have a little look and see what they can take part in, because there definitely is something going on for everybody. Just one last thing. I know I said that a minute ago. So, because I'm not a Newport girl, so... How far out does this cover? So we're in the city centre at the moment. So what would you say is the radius for Newport Live? Where's the furthest you go for any of these activities?
So, it's all Newport based. So the riverfront and station are in the city centre. The Active Living Centre is at Bettis. Okay. And then the International Sports Village, which is where the pool and tennis centre, the stadium and the velodrome, they're all out at Spitty. So kind of spread around the city. But in terms of people who use our facilities, the velodrome in particular, because, lots of cyclists use that. We get an awful lot of people coming across from Bristol because, there isn't another velodrome in the southwest.
So that's something to be proud of in itself, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and, the velodrome has been the place where the Team GB has done all of its practices before the Olympics. We've hosted the British Indoor Cycling Championships there for the last 2 years, and also a lot of the foreign Olympic cycling teams come and do their training with us as well. So, and again, that's one of the places where we offer loads of really good stuff. We offer learn to ride sessions, not just for children, but for adults as well. So, if you're somebody who's never ridden a bike ever, or somebody who rode a bike as a kid, but, who've never done it since, again, look on the website, look at the velodrome, because we offer, really good courses for people to come along and learn how to do that kind of thing.
Listening to you talking today about all these things that are going on, it makes you sort of realise that actually Newport is a place to be proud of, really, isn't it? Because there's a lot of good things here.
Putting Newport on the map.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've lived in Newport for best part of 40 years, and I've been accused in the past in a sort of disparaging way of being a cheerleader for Newport. Well, yeah, I am, because
it's
the place that's become my home. It's where my kids were born and brought up, and I think that Newport's worst problem sometimes is that there's too much negativity from people on social media in particular, who don't really understand what they're talking about, or it's politically motivated, or whatever. And I haven't got any time for that. Yes, of course, Newport's got problems, as has any other town and city across the UK. But, there are also lots of wonderful organisations in Newport, not just Newport Live, Newport City Radio as well, for instance, our sports organisations, an awful lot of fantastic organisations out there who are doing fantastic work to make Newport a better place. And I want to spend my time promoting those people, not the people who've got nothing but bad things to say.
I think you're dead right. That's what we all need to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming in to talk to us today, Kevin.
No problem.
It's been a joy to have you sitting here. We didn't make you a cup of tea. We gave you a glass of water, and I feel really mean for that. And you didn't even accept a donut off me. So you know what that means? It means me and Dani have got to eat an extra one.
Yeah, if this was television, people would know why I didn't accept a donut.
Well, thanks ever so much again, and best of luck with everything. And we should take part in some of these things ourselves, shouldn't we? We'll definitely come to the Panto, especially if you're in it as Widow Twanky.
Yes.
Great, thanks again. And so that's Kevin Ward from Newport Live.